I think that's just a trap by Big Cat, to get me to come on and then spread his, hate for Duke even more. I don't know if I believe that. So do you think that's genuine by Big Cat?
I think you should proceed with caution. So how many times were you called White Mike at GBN?
I don't recall, man, being called White Mike ever. Although I tried getting my guys, my players to call me White Mike last week, and none of them have since. So my feelings are a little hurt.
I saw the reaction of Cooper Flagg and Khan and some of the other guys discussing that. Have they done or did they know how good of a player you were? I mean, you won a national championship in college. You were the captain and scored 18 points a game. But did they know how dominant you were here in the Chicago area?
No, they think I played like when there's black and white TV, and they don't think I had any game whatsoever. So they don't want to give me any credit, and so hearing that made them cringe. And since then, I've tried to show them highlights and all that, but they're not going for any of that, guys.
John, have you not gotten involved in any of the practices and kind of squared up with any of them over the course of this year?
I've picked my spots when I'm feeling pretty good. A few one-on-one games, a lot of horse games, a lot of shooting games, but not much besides that.
Okay. So I don't know if you're aware of this, and it's great to talk to you again, and we always appreciate your time. Congratulations, by the way, on getting to the Final Four.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thank you, guys.
Are you aware, we were trying to do research, and we don't believe we have found a Division I men's coach. We know Kim Mulkey did it as a player, as an assistant coach, and as a head coach to win a national championship. Do you know that you could be one of one when it comes to that? If you finish the job, you have won as an assistant, you have won as a player, and now you could win it all as a coach. And what would that mean to you?
Well, that would be news to me. I didn't know that that's the case, if that's true. Is it your research, Sylvie, or whose research is that? Because I trust it more if it's, but besides just your research.
We're going to ESPN Stats and Info. Now, they don't have a lot of assistant coaches like history, but like Dean Smith.
We did a deep dive.
Yeah, like Dean Smith, the hated North Carolina team. He won it as a head coach and a player, but as an assistant at Kansas, he never won. So, like, this could be something that you could be one of one on the men's side.
Well, you know what? I just think it speaks to, look, I made my decision to go to Duke when I was 17 years old. And for me, along the way, to have, the championship as a player, the championship as an assistant coach, we've been close a few other times. But you feel that responsibility as a head coach. You want to do everything you can to bring home the sixth banner and sixth championship. So the fact that you could be a part of, three of them to me is, incredible. I don't care if it's head coach, player, or assistant coach. Being part of a championship is something that's forever. And so that's where my mind goes. But obviously, all the different roles I've been in, I think it speaks to how much I love Duke and love being here.
John, do you feel more pressure or more nervousness as a coach trying to win a championship or as a player?
Oh, coach. Yeah. I think it's not close. Because you feel responsible over everything, and as a player, I mean, obviously you have control. As a coach, of course, but as a player, you're the one out there, you're the one doing it, and it's just a totally different feeling. So I would say for me, man, I don't know that I can really eat on game days. I feel it more as a coach than I do a player.
With that in mind, what would you say has been the most satisfying part of this season, which still has a couple of steps left, but to get to this point, how well your group has played?
Well, I think right now in college basketball, I can't even explain how difficult it is to have some sense of continuity and stability. And so, look, we lost in the Elite Eight last year on March 31st. On April 1st, we hit the ground running with conversations with everybody in our program that could come back, everybody that was coming in as freshmen, and then any transfers. And our goal was to have the most connected, toughest, and obviously talented team. That's a part of it, but really the connection, the toughness. And so to see that vision come to life with a great year, guys that have been all about the right stuff when everything that's thrown at their face is about individual accolades and, what's next and what's wrong about your current situation. These guys have just really embraced playing for each other, playing for Duke. And so, again, we got to finish the job, and we play a great team in Houston. But to get to this point, I think is a reflection of the vision that we had and that I had coming to life, which I'm really proud of.
Jon Scheyer joining us, the head coach of Duke, and our friend on the Waddle and Silvy show. We had you back in the day after you won the national championship as a player in our studio. We go back that far. Does it feel today more like this is Jon Scheyer's program and you're not filling in for Coach K, or has it always felt like your program since you took over?
Look, for me, it's felt natural, but I'm sure for a lot of people it's been an adjustment. A huge adjustment, right? It's been over 4 decades seeing one person as the head coach. I think naturally time allows it to feel more real and more like your own. But really for me, the main thing, guys, I've wanted it to feel the same in terms of when you watch Duke play, how it makes you feel. And I'm not talking about like the Duke haters. I'm talking about the people that love Duke, or actually the haters too, both ways. But I wanted to make you feel a certain way, just like it always has. Like, man, those guys play really hard. They share the ball and they're really connected. And I think this team has done that. So I guess for me, it feels like it's really, it's really real, now and going forward.
This is the message that Big Cat sent to me yesterday. Barstool Big Cat, as you know, who has been a notorious Duke hater. He's texted me yesterday, 9:07 a.m., tells Scheyer to come on Pardon My Take so we could give him his flowers. I'm resigned to the fact that I don't hate Duke the same anymore. It's a very sad day. What would you like to say to Barstool Big Cat, who joins us tomorrow?
I think that's just a trap by Big Cat, to get me to come on and then spread his, hate for Duke even more. I don't know if I believe that. So do you think that's genuine by Big Cat?
I think you should proceed with caution.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
He tends to hide some secrets too pretty well, so you never know what he's going to give you.
Yeah, I think he's up to something, but I'll take that. I feel like there's a backhanded compliment somewhere in there. I don't feel like it's really just like a compliment. I don't know. I'm trying to process that still.
What is it, John? What does it mean to you to be on this journey with your kids? Duke's Instagram account has put that out there too. You enjoying these moments with your family, and what does it mean for you that they get to enjoy this and be on this ride with you at such a young age?
I think the thing, I knew when I got into coaching as an assistant coach, but especially, like, I was 33 when I became the head coach at Duke. When they told me I was the next coach, I was 34 at the time, 3 young kids. And so I knew it was an incredible sacrifice and time that I was going to be spending away from them. And so my goal in this is to make them a part of it as much as possible. They come around all the time, but also where they're not consumed by it, or they don't feel like they find their value in just us winning or not. And so they definitely don't. Like, they have no, I think they have no understanding of how hard it is to advance in the tournament. They just think confetti is there, and my son calls it bubbly water afterwards that the guys pour on each other. And so I'm going to cherish every moment. Like when we go to San Antonio, my son will be on the bus with me, and the police escort, the whole thing. I want him to experience, because you may not. Look, you hope to get back to many Final Fours, but going to one is a special thing that you can never take for granted. You're going to be back here again.
John, I'm assuming you evolved as a player as time went on, and the same assumption as a coach. How are you different in year 3 versus year 1 as a head coach?
I think, the best thing I think you can do as a head coach is give clarity, where your players really understand what you're asking them to do, both ends of the ball, culture-wise, mentally. And I think this year it's been incredibly clear from myself all the way down to the coaching staff, and then obviously that trickles down to the players in terms of what the expectation is, what the standard is, and then being consistent and clear with that messaging. And I think no matter what, year one, you want to be all things to all people in some ways. You want to have the best offense. You want to have the best defense. You want to have the best plays. And sometimes you don't have the strongest identity that you can. Where I felt this year, it's been very simple. It's been actually the most simple of any year I've coached. But we've ended up having as good of an offense in the country and defense. And, historically one of the best statistical seasons, ever in college basketball, I think, because of that.
And it's such a crazy concept that it is most simple, because it's probably never been more difficult to keep a program on the right track with NIL. The transfer portal, for crying out loud, was open during the tournament. Like, how has being a head coach of a major college program changed over the course of a very short period of time?
Well, literally, when I first got the job, my goal was to recruit a lot of freshmen that year, some one-and-dones, some multi-years, and then have those guys grow up in our program and then still recruit a few high-level one-and-done freshmen. And right away after year one, I'm like, all right, the whole thing has shifted. Transfer portal, it's hard to retain players. So you have to be more year to year. Well, I hope we can be the lucky ones and have more retention for next year. That's something we're planning on doing. But it's really hard to plan out 2 or 3 or 4 years in advance. And so it has to be more year to year. And then, frankly, look, we've always had honest conversations in our program, but there's nothing to lose in some respects. And so for us, we've just hit everything head on this year. We're not holding anything back. We're not having anything left unsaid, because these guys are always getting attacked and being recruited by other programs. There's agents involved with all of them who we're lucky to deal with, really good people and agents. But it just is night and day versus 5 years ago.
I have a couple questions about Cooper Flagg, John, and we're talking to Jon Scheyer. It's Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. And I texted you this during the middle of the year because I really enjoyed watching him. He is so good. Is it as much fun coaching him as it is watching him as a fan?
Yeah, you love coaching him because, one, I've never coached him where you have to tell him he has to play harder. That isn't something that, Cooper, you ever have to worry about. And the fact that he's as good as he is, look, he's won National Player of the Year awards already. He has amazing humility. Like, he's the first one to say when he screws up or should have gotten a rebound or needs to make a better play. And so there's zero fight with him. And so it's kind of crazy, man. You're talking about the guy who's going to be the number one pick in the draft, and he's that coachable, plays that hard. And then he literally does not care about any of the attention. Like, he's all about his teammates and winning. So he's one of one. He just is. Like, he's you would love coaching him. Let's put it that way.
And they said on the broadcast that the one thing sometimes that you have to tell him is, I want you to be even more of a killer, more of a scorer. So he's had some really good games when he's at 16, but he's at 11 rebounds, blocks. He's throwing the alley-oop pass. What is your perfect game from Cooper Flagg? Do you like when he scores 30? Would you rather have him a more well-rounded game, or is it just what you need that night?
Yeah, it's for me, it's with the intention to score and attack. And then some games may be a triple-double. Some games may be 40 points. It really depends on how teams are playing him. But I think it's him with the mindset to go dominate, to go attack, and then he's going to make the right play from there. That's where we're at our best, but it's obviously where he's at his best also.
I was going to say, is Houston the best team you have faced all season long?
Yeah, I would say so. You know what? They are so connected, and their defense is one of one. You're not going to see any defense like them. Literally, when they get into a pick and roll, the two guys on the ball are moving. The other three guys are moving right with them. Like, it's beautiful basketball. And offensively, they really pound you on the offensive glass. They have look, we played them in the Sweet 16 last year. They returned 4 starters, and they also added a transfer in Uzan, who's a big-time guard. I think Kelvin Sampson's as good as any coach in the country. They have it all, and so it's going to be an absolute battle. Great game, and I think very different styles of play too. Battling against each other, which I think will be key to the game with whose pace we can play at.
The last time I saw you in person, you sat down next to me and you said, Silvy, tell me about the Bears. And then in the summer, you sent me another text, and these are my favorite texts to get from you, is you just will text, what's going on with the Bears? So
that's right.
Where are you on how you like our team right now at being a diehard Bears fan? And have you gotten over the fact that the head coach, Ben Johnson, who we already love, is a UNC guy?
Man, I'll tell you what. I had some concerns when I didn't even realize he was a UNC grad, to be honest. And we're right around the same years. And he won me over in about 2 seconds, just with his, press conference of what he's done, what he's all about, getting to know him. He's my favorite Carolina grad ever. I'll say that. There's no doubt about it. I'm all on the Ben Johnson train. I think we're going to take a big step this year. I think the draft is important, right? I mean, our line, I don't know how we feel about our line, of course, but for me, that's where my head is at. And I think Caleb's going to be a stud in year 2. I'm all in. Like I feel as good about the Bears as I ever have. How about you guys? Am I talking crazy?
No, I'm sold. I'm sold. I mean, listen, John, we say every year it's going to be different this year, but it truly does feel different. Thought it was the right hire, a guy who's had a tremendous run with the Detroit Lions. They've invested so many of their resources on the offensive side of the ball. It was time for them to bring in the best possible coach on that side of the football. And it's a joy to listen to him answer questions. Like before we talked to you, we were playing sound from him being at the owners' meetings, and it's just refreshing to hear a football coach answer questions, well thought out answers, and it just feels new, feels different.
So. I like the fact that he obviously is really smart, but I think that he's just modern football and just where the game is and where it's going. I think we're going to be cutting edge and really creative with how to get the job done, which I think is exciting. Yeah.
Well, John, we always tell you, and I always text you, like, I'm very proud of you. And the thing that we love best about you is like some of the qualities that we like best about a lot of our favorite guys is you never forget where you came from. You're the same guy running the show as you were as a player, a kid out of GBN, a kid from Northbrook, and you're doing it at such a high level. Never change. We always appreciate your time. And you better believe it, I'm going to be texting you to come back on when you win it all, okay?
Well, he's going to be texting you for tickets to the championship game is what he's going to be texting you for, John.
I'm out of tickets already. Okay. I'm out of tickets. I'll tell you, hopefully we can win this whole thing, and I'd love to come back there in Chicago and see you guys in person.
All right. John, awesome. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, guys. All right.